Hello everyone, I welcome you all for the course Engineering Metrology. So this is the third lecture, Limits, Fits and Tolerances. So the contents of today's lecture are the recap of the lecture 2 and the principle of interchangeability. Then we move to selective assembly approach, and then we will discuss the tolerance and its types, maximum and minimum metal conditions. And then we conclude this lecture with summarizing the topics. So in the second lecture, so we discussed the accuracy and precision, and we discussed the limits and what are the reasons for the size variation. So accuracy means it is the degree of agreement between the measured value and the true value. So precision is the repeatability or reproducibility of the manufacturing process. So the limits are defined as the two extreme permissible sizes of a part between which the actual size is contained are called the limits. So the reasons for the size variation, the influence of geometric accuracy of machine tools on the workpiece accuracy, or inaccuracies in the geometry of the machine tools, and the deflection of the workpiece, tool deflection, tool wear, error due to location in fixtures, and error due to the clamping, slideway friction, alignment errors, structural deformation due to varying loads, thermal deformation due to heat generation, and errors in the NC machine tools. So these are the various reasons for varying the size of the component. And also we discussed what is the effect of manufacturing cost, effect of accuracy on the manufacturing cost. So as the manufacturing accuracy is large or maximum, then the manufacturing cost would also maximum. So if we relax the manufacturing accuracy, it reduces the manufacturing cost. Coming to the today's topic, first one is the principle of interchangeability. So this concept of interchangeability was introduced first in the United States, and in the early days, the aim of this interchangeability was at a quick and easy replacement of damaged parts by attaining a greater precision in manufacture, and not at achieving cheap products in large quantities. So till the 1940s, so every component was manufactured in-house. In olden days, the production was limited to a small number of parts to be produced. So in this, the same worker used to produce the parts and asked to assemble the mating parts to obtain the necessary fit. So in this case, so for manufacturing the large number of components, so it is not economical to produce both the mating parts using the same operator. So after the 1940s, the automobile companies started outsourcing for carrying out the roughing operations. Slowly and gradually, the outsourcing moved from roughing components to finished components, and from finished components to finished assemblies. So slowly the automobile industry started asking the suppliers to plan for the design, development and manufacture of the products to be used in producing cars and trucks. Slowly they are moving towards the um, mass production. So in the mass production, the parts are manufactured by different workers in different plants and assembled in another plant. So under these conditions, the dimensions of the mating parts must strictly lie within certain variations. So that any one part selected randomly will get assembled correctly with any other mating part. So both chosen at random. So this system is called the interchangeable system. So the interchangeability is defined as per ISO IEC. So interchangeability is the ability of one product or process or service to be used in place of another to fulfill the same requirements. So moreover, so we could say it is an alternative term for compatibility. So interchangeability is possible only when the certain standards are strictly followed in various manufacturing units. So in the principle of interchangeability is that, so in this case, the complete product may be broken into various component parts so that the production of each part becomes an independent process that leads to the specialization. So here the complete product is broken into number of parts. So these parts may be either buy from the suppliers or parts may be manufactured. So what are the parts we can buy from the market? So we can, by specifying the size of the either spring, bolt, nut, motor or screw or spark plugs. So we can buy from the market. So springs, so if we require the M6 bolt or M6 nut or size of the motor, if you specify, or sorry, if you specify the size of the screw, so we can directly buy from the market. So all these elements, either spring, bolt, nut, motor or screw, follows the interchangeability. So let us, if we consider the example spark plug of a scooter. So from the market, so if we buy the spark plug of a scooter from the market, and then we find that it fits in the threaded hole positioned in a cylinder head of a scooter automatically. So here we just need to specify the size of the spark plug to the shopkeeper. The threaded hole and the spark plug dimensions are standardized and designed to fit with each other. So the standardization is necessary for interchangeable parts and is important for economic reasons. So we can define the interchangeability as, so interchangeability is the manufacture of the products or parts in bulk to the desired accuracy and at the same time adhering to the limits of accuracy specified. So this type of a system is called the interchangeable manufacturing system. So if we consider the another some of the other examples, if we consider the keys, couplings, pins, pin joints, screwed fasteners, gears, clutches. So all these elements follows the interchangeability. Similarly, rolled ball screw assembly follows the interchangeable manufacturing, and stud roller bearing assembly, drill check assembly follows the interchangeability. So the principle of principle of interchangeability. So in order to achieve interchangeability, so we need to follow certain standards. So based on which the interchangeability can be categorized into two types. One is the universal interchangeability and another one is the local interchangeability. So universal interchangeability means the parts that are manufactured at different locations are randomly chosen for the assembly. That is known as the universal interchangeability. So when the parts are manufactured at the same manufacturing unit and they are selected randomly for assembly, then it is referred to as the local interchangeability. So what are the advantages of interchangeability? So the assembly of mating parts is easier. So the assembly of mating parts is easier since any component is picked up from its lot will assemble with any other mating part from another lot without additional fitting and machining. So interchangeability enhances the production rate. So repairing of existing machines or products is simplified because component parts can be easily replaced. So replacement of worn out parts is also easy in the interchangeable manufacturing. So without interchangeability, mass production is not possible. So what we say that the interchangeability leads to the mass production. So next, coming to the second approach is called selective assembly approach. So to achieve the interchangeability, the mating parts are given very close tolerances. So in such cases, most of the manufactured parts are likely to be rejected because of their actual dimension will fall outside permissible limits. So selective assembly is a cost-effective approach for reducing the overall variation and thus improving the quality of assembled product. So in the selective assembly approach, what we will do is the components of a mating pair are measured and grouped into several classes or bins as they are manufactured. So the mating pairs are measured. Suppose the parts are producing with the different sizes. So each part is measured and all the parts which comes under the particular size are grouped and placed in the bin, both the mating parts. Similarly, with the another dimension, the parts are placed into the another bin. So like that, so we provide the bins for the various dimensions of both the mating parts. So the final product is assembled by selecting the components of each pair from appropriate bins to meet the required specifications as close as possible. So this approach is often less costly than tolerance design using the tighter specifications on individual components. Even if you want to maintain the very closer tolerances or tighter tolerances for these mating parts. So this selective assembly approach becomes a costly one. So it leads to high quality assembly using the relatively inexpensive components. So this selective assembly approach is used in uh, uh, in manufacturing of the hydraulic valves and the diesel injection pumps are made using the selective assembly approach. So in this barrel and plunger requires the high quality assembly. Otherwise, there is a leakage of the fuel from the uh, plunger. And also these parts are also used in the aircraft industries, uses the selective assembly approach. The automobile industries also, the selective assembly approach is adopted for manufacturing of the pistons and cylinders, crankshafts and bearings. So ball and roller bearing industries are also adopts the selective assembly approach. So what are the advantages of selective assembly? So there is a large number of acceptable parts. So there is a large number of acceptable parts as original tolerances are greater. So this in turn allows the manufacturer of cheaper parts as less will be consigned to the waste bin. So selective assembly assures a better and more accurate assembly of parts by ensuring closer tolerances between the mating parts. So raising the quality and lowering the manufacturing costs by avoiding the tight tolerances using the selective assembly approach and reduce the rejection rate or scrap rate using the selective assembly process. Next, coming to the tolerances. So why we need to provide the tolerances? Because no component can be manufactured precisely to a given dimension. So it can only be made to lie between the two limits, that is upper limit or lower limit. So for that purpose, the designer has to suggest to the tolerance limits. So we are legalizing the some error on the produced part. So which are acceptable for each of the dimensions used to define shape and form and ensure satisfactory operation in the service. So we can define the tolerance as the intentional difference between the upper and the lower limits is termed as the permissible tolerance. When the tolerance allowed is sufficiently greater than the process variation, so no difficulty arises. So for example, if the manufactured, for example, a shaft has to be manufactured to a diameter of 40 plus or minus 0.02. So that means the shaft which has the basic size of 40 mm and will be acceptable if its diameter lies anywhere between the limits of sizes. That means the upper limit is 40 plus 0.02, that is 40.02, and the lower limit is 40 minus 0.02, that is 39.98. So if we produce the product or shaft within this range, it may be 40.01 or 39.99. So this shaft may be acceptable. The permissible tolerance is equal to the difference between the upper limit and the lower limit. So that is 0.04 mm is the tolerance provided to the shaft. So the basic size or nominal size is the size based on which the dimensional deviations are given. Is called the basic size or nominal size. Next. So what is the effect of work tolerance on the manufacturing cost? So as the permissive tolerance goes on decreasing, the manufacturing cost incurred to achieve it goes on increasing exponential. So when the permissive tolerance limits are relaxed without degrading the functional requirements, the manufacturing cost decreases. So here the work tolerance is tighter, that is maximum, then the manufacturing cost is also high. If we relax the tolerances without degrading the functional requirements, then the manufacturing cost becomes manufacturing cost decreases. So in order to maintain such close tolerance limits, manufacturing capabilities have to be enhanced, which certainly increases the manufacturing cost. Tolerances are classified into one is unilateral tolerance, bilateral tolerance, compound tolerance, and a geometric tolerance. So let us see one by one what is tolerances. So when the first one is unilateral tolerance. So in the unilateral tolerance, the tolerance is distributed is only on one side of the basic size. So it is known as the unilateral tolerance. So in other words, the tolerance limits lie wholly on one side of the basic size, either above or below it. So unilateral tolerance system is employed in the drilling process. So where the dimensions of the hole are most likely to deviate in one direction only. That is, the hole is always oversized rather than undersized. So let us, if we consider the drilling operation, the hole is produced. So due to the run out of the spindle or due to vibration or vibration, the tool produces the oversized holes rather than the undersized holes when we consider the metallic materials. Whereas if we consider the thermoplastic materials, so during the drilling operation, the material gets heated up, and after removing the workpiece, upon cooling, the dimensions of the hole is certainly decreases. So in that case only the undersized holes produced using the unilateral tolerance system. So this system is preferred because the basic size is used for the go limit gauge. So this helps in standardization of the go gauge, as holes and shafts of different grades will have the same lower and upper limits respectively. So in this case, the holes have the lower limits and the shafts have the upper limits. So the examples for the unilateral tolerance are 40 plus 0.01 plus 0.02. That means, so 40 is the basic size. The lower limit is plus 0.01, that is 40.01. So 40.01 mm is the lower limit, and upper limit is 40.02 is the upper limit. That means the limits, the tolerance is provided only on the one side of the basic size. So let us, this is the basic size. This is the basic size of the shaft, and the tolerance is provided lower limit as 40.01 and the upper limit as 40.02. So completely on one side the tolerance is provided. That is called the unilateral tolerance. Similarly, in the second case also, the 40 minus 0.00, it is a 40 is the basic size, and plus upper limit is 40 plus 0.02, 40.02 is the upper limit. So it is completely on the one side of the basic size. Similarly, if you consider the third case, it is completely in the negative side. So this is the basic size of the shaft, that is basic size is 40 mm, and the lower limit is 40 minus 0.02 is nothing but 39.98, and upper limit is 39.99. So upper limit is 39.99 and the lower limit is 39.98. This is 39.98 and this is 39.99. Similarly, the last fourth one is plus 0.00 is the basic size, and 40 minus 0.02 is the 39.98. So it is the basic size and this is the tolerance 0.02 in the negative side. So this is called the unilateral tolerance. So why unilateral tolerance system is preferred over bilateral tolerance system? So unilateral tolerance system is preferred in interchangeable manufacture, especially where the precision fits are required. So because it is easy and simple to determine the deviations. That is one reason. Second one is the unilateral system can be used for the go gauge ends that can be standardized as the holes of different tolerance grades have the same lower limit and shafts have the same upper limit. And the third advantage is this form of tolerance greatly assists the operator. So when machining of the mating parts, so the operator machines to the upper limit of the shaft or lower limit for the hole. So knowing fully well that he still has some margin left for machining before the parts are rejected. So these are the uh, reasons why the unilateral tolerance system is preferred over bilateral tolerance system. Coming to the second one is the bilateral tolerance system. So in this case, the tolerance is distributed on the either side of the basic size. It is known as the bilateral tolerance system. So in other words, the dimension of the part is allowed to vary on both sides of the basic size, but this may not be necessarily equally disposed about it. So let us, if you consider the example, this is the let us shaft. The lower tolerance, lower limit is, this is lower limit and this is upper limit. So this is the tolerance. So lower limit is, so let us if we consider the basic size as 40 mm, basic size as 40 mm. So lower limit is, let us 39.9 mm, 39.98 mm, and upper limit is maybe 40.01 mm. So in this case, the tolerance is not distributed or disposed equally about the basic size. So the operator can take the full advantage of the limit size limit system, especially in positioning of the hole. So bilateral system is preferred for manufacturing of large sized components. So it makes a procedure of machine setting very easy and simple. So the example of bilateral tolerance is 40 plus or minus 0.02. So in this case, 40 is the basic size. 40 plus 0.02 is 40.02 is the upper limit. This is 40.02 is the upper limit, and 39.98 is the lower limit. This is, let us, this is the lower limit. This is from the basic size. It is 39.98 mm, and this is 40.02 40.02 mm. This is 39.98 mm and this is 40.02 mm. Similarly, this is, for another example is 40 plus 0.02 minus 0.01. So 40.02 is the upper limit. 40.02 is the upper limit, and 39.99 is the lower limit. So in this case, the tolerance is not disposed equally about the mean or nominal size. In the first case, the tolerance is distributed or disposed equally about the basic size. Next, coming to the compound tolerance. So this system is generally preferred in the mass production, so where the machine is set for the basic size. So when the tolerance is determined by established tolerances on more than one dimension, then it is known as the compound tolerances. So the compound tolerances is provided on more than one dimension. So let us, if we consider the example, this is, let us, it is made with sheet metal. So we need to provide the compound tolerance to this. So this is in the height direction. We provided the tolerance, and also in the length direction also we are providing the tolerance, and also some included angle is also provided some tolerance. So in order to find out R value, so it is very difficult to adjust the sizes of the edges in the height direction or in the length direction or some inclined length. So that's why these tolerances cannot be used for the components, because it is very difficult to find out the what is the value by adjusting all the uh, uh, tolerances on more than one dimension. Next, coming to the geometric tolerance. So geometric tolerance is defined as the total amount that the dimension of a manufactured part can vary. So normally tolerances are specified to indicate the actual size or dimension of a feature such as a hole or shaft. So in the geometric tolerance, total amount that the dimension of a manufactured part can vary is called the geometric tolerance. So geometric tolerance uh, so deals with the shape of the feature as against the size. So geometric dimensioning and tolerancing is a method of defining parts based on how they function using standard symbols. So here we use the standard symbols for representing the features of the manufactured component. So the geometric tolerances deals with the roundness of the component and cylindricity of the components. So it is a shape of a feature. It deals with the shape of the feature as against its size. Whether the produced product is with the roundness or with the cylindricity or not. Another type of geometric tolerances are form tolerances. So these are the group of geometric tolerances applied to the individual features. They limit the amount of error in the shape of a feature and are independent tolerances. So form tolerances as such do not require locating dimensions. So this is very important point. So form tolerances do not require locating dimensions. So these tolerances include straightness, circularity, flatness, and cylindricity. Next, orientation tolerances. These are the uh, one type of geometric tolerance used to limit the direction and orientation of the feature in relation to the other features. So, for example, perpendicularity, parallelism, and angularity. So, all these comes under the orientation tolerances. Similarly, positional tolerances. So, they are a group of geometric tolerances that controls the extent of deviation of the location of a feature from its true position. So this is the three-dimensional geometric tolerance comprising position, symmetry, and concentricity. So positional tolerance deals with the position, symmetry, and concentricity. Next, coming to the maximum and minimum metal conditions. Let us we consider the shaft. Shaft is having the dimension of 40 plus or minus 0.05. That means, so plus is the maximum limit and minus is the minimum limit. So the maximum metal limit of the shaft is 40.05 mm and the minimum or least metal limit is 39.95 mm. So this is the shaft. This is the basic size of the shaft. Basic size of the shaft is 40 and plus 0.05 mm plus 0.05 mm is the maximum metal limit. this is the basic size, right? This is the maximum metal condition, and 39.95 mm is the, this is 39.95 mm is the lower metal limit. Similarly, if we consider the hole, this is the hole having a dimension of 45 plus or minus 0.05 mm. So 45 is the basic size. 45 is the basic size. The hole will have a maximum possible amount of metal at the lower limit. So this is the lower limit of the hole, and this is the upper limit of the hole. If you consider the upper limit of the hole, only material is this much. Only material is this much. If you consider the lower limit, the total material is this much. The total material thickness of the material is this much. So the maximum metal limit is the low limit of the hole. And for the shaft, the maximum metal limit is the upper limit of upper limit. For the hole, it is the lower limit of the hole. So we summarize the today's class. So manufacture of components in bulk, that is mass production, to the desired accuracy, and at the same time adhering to the limits of accuracy specified, is called interchangeable manufacture. So in the selective assembly approach, the components of mating pair are measured and grouped into several classes as they are manufactured, and the final product is assembled by selecting the components of each pair from appropriate bins to meet the required specifications as close as possible. So tolerance is defined as the intentional difference between the upper and lower limits is termed as the permissible tolerances. So tolerances may be unilateral tolerance, bilateral tolerance, compound tolerance, and geometric tolerances. So this is the today's class discussion, and I will stop here and I will continue in the next class. So thank you.